Ah, well, here we are, season 4, disc 6, episode 196. Last week we did the drumhead. The week before we did Cupid with Picard and his love interest. Oh, let me see if I can. I got this nice shirt. You should be able to see it. Um, and as of this thing, the episode that I thought would explode with all these views and likes, it fell flat. I mean, as of this, and it may go up, but as of this taping, it hasn't even had 20 views yet. Even my Star Trek Next Generation episodes that have flopped have gotten at least 50. And this is plummeting at not even 20 yet. So fingers crossed it gets up. And by the way, welcome to the D. Louise Book Series. I'm Christina, K-R-S-T-I-N-A. This is where I read book and talk about books. No special effects going on here, no theme music. And I also do Star Trek every Friday, so look for those every Friday, Star Trek Next Generation. I'm a series person. It's a series. There's character progression from episode to episode. That's, I could do all these in one day, but we're spreading them out. We're doing one a week every Friday, so please look for that on Fridays. We're also back to doing Flashback Mondays, where I talk about books that I owned in 2008, according to Romantic Times magazine, and they did over 200 reviews a month. And so this time we are talking about Half-Life, and I'm telling you, there's some issues with this episode that I do not like. A lot of issues with this episode. First of all, the fact that they chose Charles Emerson Winchester for this from MASH. Those of you may not have been MASH fans, but MASH 4077 was about a surgical hospital in the middle of Vietnam during the war there. And their theme song, and I did a little research, the theme song to MASH, and I looked it up, was written for Ken Primus, the actor playing Private Seldman, to sing during the fake suicide of Walter in The Last Supper. And director Altman's kid, 15-year-old kid, wrote the song. And that's depressing in itself, that a kid wrote it. Come here. I need to get me my emotional support cat. I do. She's I want to be held when I want to be held. I want affection when I want it. I need the emotional support cat is the one that will let you hold them when you want to hold them. Will stay as long as you want. Will come when you want. Then there's the other one that will come when they want. Those are your two breeds of cats. Yeah, there's millions of breeds, but I'm just saying there's two kinds of cats. That one that do what they want, and then the ones that do what you want. And the you want is a very small population. So the fact that a 15-year-old kid wrote this song is depressing as all hell. The fact that they chose Charles Emerson Winchester for this role from MASH, David Augustine, I believe, if I'm correct. But the theme song to MASH, suicide is painless. It brings on many changes. And I can take or leave it if I please. And you can do the same if you choose. I don't like, I don't like anybody encouraging, promoting suicide. They didn't do enough. We'll talk about it. I'll probably talk about it constantly. Through early morning fog, I see visions of the things to be. The pains are withheld for me, and I realize I can see that suicide is painless, it brings on many changes, and I can take or leave it if I please. This also reminds me of the Stargate Atlantis episode, season 1, episode 6, where they go to this planet, and due to the conditions of the planet, they have to keep the population down, and they've chose as their date of death age 25. If I had died at 25, I wouldn't have even gotten married or anything. If my mother had died at 25, my brother wouldn't be here. It's Stargate Atlantis, called Childhood's End, episode 6 in season 1. It's just, I have this thing where if you fill in your own adjective, and I'll go, it's just, and you can finish the sentence any way you want. But it's just, they try to lighten it up with Laxwana, Gene Roddenberry's wife. She's just excellent. I love her. I usually love episodes with her. She makes Picard so uncomfortable, and watching. Let me wait. Oh, she's done. If you go back and watch my New Year's Eve, I show my clock. The person, the object of being. But she usually lightens it up. She usually makes it refreshing. Because Picard is just so uncomfortable. He's forever cringing. And but this time she's got a new target. David Augustine, Mr. Winchester himself. So I guess we should get started with this. According to the analytics, please like and subscribe. Let me know I'm doing a good job. Hit the thumbs up. According to the analytics, you're all gone by now. You don't even last a minute, according to the analytics. And that's pretty sad. That could lead to some serious depression on my part. But they all keep telling you to keep going. The latest trend lately that kind of fits with this is, I don't know if you've seen them, but there's been this huge trend in why I'm quitting YouTube videos, or why should I quit YouTube videos? And they've been going like gangbusters, so everybody's been doing them. And I was like, we all need a little encouragement from our viewers. And most people don't get it. And if you watch pick the most popular thing you watch. If it's a rock star, Madonna, or Billy Joel, or a news thing, or a show, or anything you watch that gets millions and millions and millions and millions of views and has millions of subscribers, you go look at their likes. And I will guarantee you almost the likes are 10% of their subscribers. If they have a million subscribers, maybe 100,000, 90,000 likes. Seriously, I don't know why we as a society hold back our likes. We are more likely to say negative things instead of positive, which says something about our society. We're so eager to criticize first. We should compliment or encourage. Don't be cruel though. No bullying. I don't like bullying. It's wrong. It's totally, absolutely wrong. And if you do it to make yourself feel better, it's wrong. Then you need to look at your life and see what's going on. Why you feel that you need to bully somebody because they exist. Remove yourself from their lives, and then they won't be there for you to bully. It's not right. Bullying is completely wrong. So get in here. Now, like I said, I like how he very cautiously steps out of the turbo lift. It's cute. The voiceover at the beginning of the episode was Deanna Troi, personal log, saying, "My mother is on board." One sentence, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words. That's it. So you can see Picard and his trepidation, his fear of Lwaxana. There's a few minutes of smile here, and then the rest of the episode, you just like, you, why a society would do this. I just, so let's, so here she comes. Here comes Lwaxana. "Jean-Luc, you delicious man, you were just thinking of me, weren't you?" Because as a matter of fact, Lwaxana says, "Well, think no further, dear heart, she's here." Picard says, "Yes, indeed." Lwaxana says, "Oh, serious, you're always so serious." Lwaxana, "As a matter of fact, I'm rather busy at the moment." Lwaxana says, "And you're always busy with something or the other. Never the right thing, though. My daughter tells me that you're picking up someone interesting here." Picard says, "Yes, the leading scientist of Kaline 2. "Oh, Kaline 2? I've never heard of that." Picard says, "Well, Lwaxana, it's something of a rather delicate situation. It's the first real contact with a rather reclusive race, and this is the nature of an official greeting. So, diplomacy. I adore diplomacy. Everyone dresses so well." Okay, I just wanted to show this real quick because this is a group shot before he gets there. Chief O'Brien! Finally! It's a really, really itsy bitsy small role, but it's nice to see O'Brien again. And Lwaxana, Picard, and Geordi. Only see O'Brien for a couple of small snippets, but I always like to point that out. And I've got something else, another pet peeve later that we'll check out. So here comes David Ogden Stiers, Charles Emerson Winchester III up until this point. Later on, he's the bad guy in Stargate Atlantis. He's head of the Replicators. That is a better challenging character for him. This was just really depressing. So they bring him aboard, and Picard says, "Dr. Temison, I'm Jean-Luc Picard, captain in the Enterprise. This is Lieutenant Commander LaForge." Temison says, "I beg your pardon, Captain. This is my first time aboard a Federation starship." "Oh, yes, they told me," and because he's doing the shaking the hand things. Shaking hands is a form of greeting. "I beg your pardon, Dr. Temison. Allow me to represent Lwaxana Troi of Beta Seg. She's a guest on board." And then she starts in with her diatribe. She always does this diatribe whenever she meets anybody. The daughter with the fifth household of the sacred chalice of rich, heir of the holy rings, blah, 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 blah. She always gives this whole spin. And, "What are you doing for dinner?" And he's like, "Well, I don't know." She's like, "We have quite a bit of work planned," Picard says. Lwaxana says, "The man's never been on board a starship before, Jean-Luc. Certainly somebody ought to make him more comfortable before you get started." Picard says, "It seems that Mrs. Troy is our acting ambassador of goodwill for today." Lwaxana says, "Think of me as your entertainment director." And as they leave, Geordi says to O'Brien, "That man is in a lot of trouble." He didn't know how much trouble he was in, because Geordi had no clue what the real truth was till much later, and it's so sad. Okay, so when we turn from credits, Captain's Log, Stardate 44805.7. For generations, the people of Kaline 2 have been working to revitalize their dying sun. The Federation has offered to assist in testing what may be a solution to this problem. Temison says, "Of course, the basic theories of helium fusion enhancement have been discussed for over a century, but there's been no practical method of application until now." Data says, "The modifications that you have made to the torpedo's guidance systems are remarkable, Doctor." "Well, we'll see. We still have to be proven, but now at least it's possible. I've never dared hope for such a perfect match with our own sun." Picard says, "My only regret is that it took us 3 years to find a suitable sun after you first contacted us." Tyson says, "We're not used to dealing with other worlds. We're not used to asking for anything from others. Your offer of help has given us a possible means of survival. It has taken 40 years of my life to develop the programming that will control the photon torpedoes. It's been my life. Thank you for this opportunity. My only wish has been a way to revive our son before I die. Hint there. Hint. Huge hint. So then we have a little cute light moment on the bridge. Uh, Mrs. Troy, I must protest your unauthorized presence on the bridge. Luxana says, what does that little one do, Mr. Wolf? Please, madam, that is a torpedo launcher initiate, and it's Worf, madame, not Wolf. Then the three of them enter, and she's like, there you are, dear. Where have you been? I've been waiting for you. And Luxana walks straight past Troy into Timison's arms. And Luxana says, so nice to see you again so soon. But Trayson says, Mrs. Troy, Mother, what did you want? Luxana says, what? You were waiting for me. Oh, yes, dear, of course I was. You really must let me do something to relieve the tedium of all this work, work, work. Now, if I can get it. Let me see. Well, I didn't capture it all that well, but I love the look that these two exchange with each other during the conversation. It's just so cute. They're like, she's got her fangs, hands, claws into Mr. Timison. It's a shame it goes 6 ways to Sunday. But anyways, I love the little exchange between the two of them. It was cute. So then we're in engineering, and Timothy is saying if you look at the next simulation, you'll see that we need the temperature to stabilize at 220 million before there's a secondary tertiary reaction. And Luxana comes in, and she spreads the table out. She says, enough is enough. Rescue is at hand. Dr. Shimmerson, would you clear all this mess from the table, please? LaForge says, this mess, Miss Troy. Luxana says, now, you boys have been shut up in here for hours. Now, if you don't eat something, you're going to get sick, and who's going to help? I've made some perfectly marvelous Matakian pate. Mr. Home will lay it out for us. Mr. Home is my valet. He doesn't say much. LaForge says, how can he? Data says it's true that the intellectual efficiency of high-order beings does diminish proportionally with the deprivation of nutritional fuel. And LaForge is like, all right, don't you start to. You can imagine the elbow. Just imagine the elbow. Timothy says, Mrs. Troy, you're a wise woman. I'm sure we could use a respite. Luxana says, these two call me Mrs. Troy. You can call me Luxana. So then these two have a little chat in the turbo lift. Luxana says, so knowing that my daughter's starship will be passing fairly close to Beta Z again, I maneuvered a ride, and here I am, decade. Timothy says, I have a grown daughter. She has a small son of her own. Luxana says, oh, then you're married. Luxana says, no, my wife died some years ago. So obviously she was older than him. If it sounds, First you're wondering if she died of disease or something happened, but now you're beginning to think, well, maybe she was a few years older than he was. So then she talks to him in the corridor. One thing I don't understand, if you people have known for generations that their son is dying, why don't they simply evacuate? He says it's our home. It defines who we are as a people. It's Kelon Two Ceases, so do we. Well, then you should definitely, I'm with her though. You think about this. If they did evacuate and they did go to another planet, would they still hold this suicide? They worship suicide. That normal people should not worship suicide. That's not the answer. And I don't like the way this they leave this episode. I guess we'll just talk about it when we get there. So she talks to him about the situation. They go back to her her room, her cabin, whatever you want to call it, and they spend the night together. And then the next morning she's with Troy and she's just trying to pick out a dress. And they have a talk about telepathy. How come her mother likes to talk using telepathy when she's with her daughter, and Troy likes to talk. And Troy, her mother reveals that he's the wrong species and she can't read him telepathically. And she's trying to decide on a dress she thinks might like, because she can't read his mind, and that would be a good match for her, a man she couldn't read. There was Suki Stackhouse. She liked Bill Compton because she couldn't read his thoughts either. True Blood. See that coming. I just thought of that. Interesting. Okay. So then we get a little seasick here with all the back and forth. I'll do a little bit of it, but I'm not going to do all of it because it's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You can get seasick. It's between the bridge and engineering as they talk to each other. And, you wonder how the computer allowed them to talk to each other from decks away. Hey, computer, open up communications between floors. Did the entire floor hear the conversation? Did the entire ship hear the conversation? They're not tapping no buttons. They're not going, computer, contact engineering, a computer, contact LaForge. No, it's just talking to the air. And you have to have faith that they can hear each other. It's, in real life, this is, I said the other day, there was a story about airplanes on the newspaper. And I said, do you ever think we'll get from there to here? And maybe in a couple of 100 years, I guess maybe, but I don't even know if we get to here, it will be that much here. If we won't be in suits, space suits, if we'll be able to figure out the gravity thing, but we'll have to see. So they're doing this experiment. I guess I really don't need this. They're doing this experiment. They're going to blow up the sun. And if it's successful in blowing up the sun and getting it to re-energize or whatever, then they're going to go back and do that to Timothy's thing. And he'll be a hero. And I guess not knowing what's going to come yet, but I'm thinking now that this was going to be his legacy, that he would be remembered for saving his planet. And he, saved it for a good reason and all this kind of stuff. But to consider it was his last mission. It was his last great effort. We're giving him his bucket wish before he dies. And it's just, I just can't fathom it. Anyways, Worf says, I've completed long-range scans. There's no other life forms. There's no other planets in the system. There's no spacecraft. There's nothing. Let's check it out. It's safe. We can blow up the sun and it'll be okay. So then they go to engineering and LaForge has done the checks. And then they're back on the bridge again. And they get the torpedoes going and they set them off to the planet. And then they get an ignition And the forge says the shockwave patterns within the predicted range. There's a 1700% raise in gamma radiations. The fusion rate is rising. Then it goes to 1,000. Then it goes to 20. Timmerson says we want it to go to 22 million. Data says the pressure wave harmonic is dispersing. The temperature target is increasing. Blah, blah, blah. They get to 90 million. They get to 200 million. They get to 220. And they're exciting and celebrating, and it's all going well until data says the temperature is rising in the core again, and it's going to 230 million degrees Kelvin, and it's rising. And Picard's like, get us out of here, Ensign. And you hear, yes, sir, but you never see the guy. And it's a guy, it's a male voice, and you never see the guy. That's my pet peeve. When we have our extras and we have a female extra, you see her, and she gets a name. But when it's a guy, we never get a name. But I just thought I'd bring that all up. And then he's all bummed and depressed. We don't know it at this juncture, but he knows it. He's thinking he's worked so hard for this. He's going to die in a couple of weeks. I was going to leave a legacy. This was going to be my life's work. I was going to be honored in my death, only to fail. And Picard and them are like, well, we can try again. But what they don't know is that he won't be there to try again. He knows when his death will be. And that's just sick. That's just absolutely horrible sick. Okay, she's done. And he just starts talking to the air. Like Picard can hear him up on the bridge. No tapping anything, no, hey, computer contact bridge, none of that. He's just one open, long conversation. I wonder if the whole ship can hear. But he's really depressed. He expresses his gratitude. And the straw goes. And Picard says, Ensign laying the course for Kellen 2, War Factor 5. And you don't see the ensign here. He's off screen. It's a guy because you hear him say, yes, sir, because the thing's going to blow. And we got to get out of here. So then Lwaxana comes in and she's trying to cheer him up. And she says she's so sorry. And he's looking at the stars. And she goes, I had one of those named for me once. Brilliant young astronomer. And where I go, 4, of course, I sparkled myself in those days. You see, that's called fishing for a compliment. You're supposed to tell me I still sparkle. I'm sorry, I'm not helping. Timmerson says you're very kind. I'm just not adequate company right now. She's like, that's all right. I can make enough conversation for both of us. I'll leave you alone. And he goes, no, please stay. I wanted to tell you how much I wish we had met years ago. What difference does a few years make, she asks. And he says, a great deal. I'm on my way home to die. Why? You're healthy, you're fit, you're in good condition. There's nothing wrong with you. The fact that an entire planet, an entire society promotes suicide is just, there's just something massively wrong about that. I don't know. I just don't know how they could have left it like they did, but they did. So let's get on to it. So then Picard, Riker, and Data are explaining something to the minister, whoever of the planet. They're telling him about what happened and how they're going to study the central logs and try and figure out what went wrong, how to fix it, and how to schedule another time. And they said their facilities would be open to the doctor. And he's like, yeah, but Timmerson's got obligations at home. We'll have to send someone else. And Picard says, we'll be more than willing to extend our visit. And Badat says, no, we need Timmerson home as soon as possible. Unknowns to him, They need him home so he can die. What's the fucking hurry? What? Why does he have to commit suicide on his birthday? Why can't he have another 24 hours or another 72? Who's it gonna hurt? That's brainwashing. That's horrible. That's an occult situation. I don't like it. I don't like they're promoting this. I do not like it at all. This is supposed to be sci-fi. It's supposed to be fun. You're not supposed to be promoting suicide. And the fact that they give into it at the end really, really sucks. So then Roxana walks in and she says, "Are you aware these people you are so graciously helping are murderers?" Picard says, "I beg your pardon?" Well, the next thing to it, when a person on this benighted little planet reaches the age of 60, which Timothy is about to do, they're expected to simply kill themselves. Did you know that? And Picard goes, "Data?" And he goes, "The people of Kellyan 2 are isolationists, almost to the point of being xenophobes. Regrettably, we know very little about their customs." Alexander says, "Well, I know. Timmins himself told me. He's supposed to go down there to his loving family, friends, be wine dined, honored for his achievements, and then kill himself. It's a barbaric ritual. The resolution is called. Obviously, you can't let him go, John Lick, because I have no choice." Alexander says, "I don't think you've been listening to me. The man is supposed to kill himself. You just don't let that happen. You just don't turn your back. What's the matter with you?" Picard says, "Luxana, I'm sorry, but whatever my personal feelings, I have no jurisdiction here. I simply can't interfere." Luxana says, "You have to. It's a situation you absolutely have to." And Picard's like, "The prime directive." And she's like, "Well, that's your directive. That's not mine." And she goes off. But the fact that a science fiction show this popular, especially in its fourth year, promoted suicide as an acceptable thing. All right. So, yeah, they felt it was wrong, but the people on the planet felt it was the correct thing to do. And we're going to get to that other situation that comes up because it just, ugh. And, Lexana just tries to go down to the planet to talk to those people. And poor O'Brien is just standing there. I guess we'll just show it a little bit. She's in the transporter room and she's up on the thing. And Troy comes in. And O'Brien's like, he doesn't know what to do. He's not, he's following his captain orders. And, Lexana's like, "I'm not part of the crew, blah, blah, blah." And she's like, she has to talk her mother down. But Luxana's like, his orders don't. So, Troy goes into the transporter room. Her mother's up on the transporter thing. And Luxana's like, bing, 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 bing. So Troy goes into the transporter room. My mother's trying to beam down to the planet. And Luxana's like, he won't let me go down. And she's like, he can't let you. He can't beam her down. He's following the captain's orders, and he has to follow the captain's orders. And she's like, "But they don't apply to me." But Troy's like, "But they apply to him." And then her and her mother have a little heart-to-heart, and they talk about her father and stuff. I just don't understand how a whole society can promote suicide. It's just so wrong. There was that Dr. Kevorkian thing years ago where people tried to, who were terminally ill, tried to end it on their own. and there was a big uproar, and they wanted the guy to go to prison and all this kind of stuff because it's wrong. But if it's your choice, it's your personal choice. It should not be a societal choice for you to kill yourself. And the same thing with that Stargate Atlantis episode, Childhood Ends, and they all killed themselves at 25 to control the population because of their atmospheric thing was shrinking. They should have just went to another planet. But the same thing with his planet. They should just go to another planet. But that's just horrible that could you imagine life without your grandparents? I mean, probably some of you have lived without your grandparents. But my grandparents were great. They were excellent. Sometimes they were the only ones there because my mother was a single parent. There was nobody else there. So they were there for her. And I can't imagine my mother's life without her parents. Alzheimer's is a really big thing, and we've talked about it a lot on this channel. And it's just, I had a relative that died, and she starved to death because she completely forgot how to chew, how to swallow. She forgot everything. And while we would like to believe that she was completely unaware of this situation, the rest of us had to watch it happen. And I can't imagine someone coming to me and saying, oh, we're going to put her down now. Although, you do it with animals, but, when they get really, 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 really bad. But could you imagine if you've been diagnosed terminally ill and let's say you're still sort of active and healthy yet, it hasn't really hit yet. Do you want to die now, or do you want to wait until you reach that point? It's just horrible to think that a whole society could die at 60 or 25 or any age. It's hard to believe that any society would promote suicide like this. And Luxana goes and talks to Tennyson again. And I forgot that Luxana and Troy talked about her father and stuff like that, and how her mother felt really sad when her father died. So then Timothy says, I've been studying the preliminary reports of the test. I don't understand why I went wrong. I thought I'd taken into account all the variables, deep convection patterns, proton reactions, blah, 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 blah. And Timothy says, I will say it again, you are a kind woman. Luxana says, no, I'm a hateful woman. I hate what you're going to do, and I hate you for doing it. It's the way of my world. I wish you could accept that. I never will. Then they have a little love thing. And he says, I want very much for you to understand, 15 or 20 centuries ago, we had no resolution. We had no such concern for our elders. As people aged, their health failed and they became invalids. Those whose families could no longer care for them were put away in a death watch facilities, where they waited in loneliness for the end to come, sometimes for years. So, are we talking about old folks home, senior citizen residents? There's tons of those facilities existing now. Tons of them. There's a couple on my block. Perpetual care facilities. The one where my relative was that died of Alzheimer's. I just think this is so wrong. I mean, he's talking about Alzheimer's, and his society decided they didn't want to have to deal with Alzheimer's anymore. So why did they choose 60? Why not 80? Why not 90? Most of the people probably wouldn't have made it to 90, but I'm pretty sure most of them made it to 60. I just don't like this. And they have this big, huge, long conversation. He's going to go back. He's going to say family and his colleagues, and he's going to he's in complete of his command of his facilities. They will always remember me as a strong and vigorous man. And looks on is like, it makes no sense. Some of you people could still be active at 70 or 80. Others might be seriously ill at 50. How cruel of you to make them wait so long to commit suicide. Semerson said, setting a standard age for the resolution makes it uniform for everybody. To ask individual families to decide when their elders are to die would be heartless. Why not let nature take its course? Why would you want someone else to determine when you die? That's called execution. I don't like this episode. I don't like that they're promoting suicide like this. And because if they had let it go, if they had finished this, because after this conversation, Luxana brings up that there was a custom in her planet that was made women uncomfortable and made animals uncomfortable, and they stopped it. But it only takes one, you know. But he's gonna be, she's talking him into staying. It's just, if it's the way, I don't know why anyone's bothering to try it to save your world at all. If it's time it's come, let it die. What's the difference? That's right. If the planet's gonna die, and you've decided, well, then let it die. Then let everybody die. So then we're back in engineering, and Timerson says convection boundary uncoupling. The reaction caused gas turbulence of a totally unexpected magnitude. Why? Data says there was evidence of a delayed surface shot. Timerson says, no, I anticipated that. I thought I'd anticipated all the possible variables. But stars, they're like living entities in a way, quite unpredictable. I wouldn't be at all surprised if it was the result of, look here, 42 seconds into the test, there's a sudden rise in the hydrogen alpha emissions. And here's another, I'm right, aren't I? There had to be neutron migration within the star's inner core as the reaction grew. Data says, perhaps, doctor, there is no known method for controlling a neutron migration. Yes, but theoretically it's possible. Using these test results, we could construct a new computer model of the energy dynamics of a star that can test a new detonation program. I'm certain it can be accomplished. It's just a matter of time. And he doesn't have the time. So then Timerson is starting to agree that he needs more time, and he asks Picard for asylum and his planet. So Timerson goes to see the captain because he realizes he's out of time and he would like more time, and he asks for asylum. And so they inform his planet because he wants to continue the project. No one on Kalen 2 understands the project as he does. He spent most of his life with this project and putting it together. He would love to see it through before he goes on. And his prime minister is like, no, there will be others that will finish your work. It's always been this way. He should have had an apprentice like 10 years ago teaching his apprentice all this stuff. But now someone's got to come along and learn it all. And he asks for asylum, and the minister goes apeshit, and he's going to send some warships after Picard, and he's going to start a war over one guy. They can't just let him go. They can't just let him be free. They can't have an individual choice. The individual has no rights in this matter. He has no rights in this matter. This is what you're going to do, and you're going to do it because it's society's rules. It's illegal to shoot someone. It's illegal to murder someone. They do it all the time. There's suicide bombers. And I've got this thing. If you're going to commit suicide, do it yourself. Don't take anybody else with you. That's not fair to them. All these people that do mass shootings and end up shooting themselves, do it yourself. Do it away from everybody else. But don't take anybody else with you. It's not fair. And it's not fair him. Because the entire planet sees it this way, it doesn't have to be his choice. 100 people could want chocolate ice cream, and one could want vanilla. And the chocolate ice cream people are going to kill the vanilla because it's different. Isn't that what this planet is? Different? Could it be considered racism? Just because you're not as white, or just because you're not as dark, or just because you're not as brown or yellow, or just because you have black hair or brown hair, or green eyes or blue eyes or brown eyes, just because you're not part of the majority, you're gonna. I just, it's not fair. It's just totally not fair. Absolutely, totally not fair. They're going to send ships after him. They're going to send bombers after him. They raise shields. The ships comes up, and then we go back to engineering. Then we're back to engineering. We must transmit the new analysis for the neutron migration immediately. If I can make them see the direction I've taken. LaForge says we've already tried. Data says they refuse to accept further reports from you, Doctor. Timerson says they have to accept them. If I can reestablish computer interface with the science ministry. They've disengaged the link up, Doctor. Why don't they answer? Even if I found the solution, you will not accept it. Because I do not terminate my life, they terminate my work. Alive, I'm a greater threat to my world than a dying sun. Why? Why is he a threat to his world? So let the sun die, then your entire world dies. So why not take that extra? If your son's dying next week, why not live an extra week? Why do you have to die today? I don't get it. That is so wrong. He wants an extra month, let him have an extra month. If he wants an extra year, let him have an extra year. That is such an occult. It's bullying. It's bullying. It's a societal rule that's bullying. It's wrong. It's like an occult. It's like brainwashing. They have brainwashed an entire society. It's mob mentality. The mob has decided you were going to die on your 60th birthday, so you were going to die on your 60th birthday, whether you like it or not. Who does that? That is so wrong. That is not right. That is so horrible. That is so horrible. So they have the man's daughter come and pressure him into killing himself. Could you imagine your kid coming to you and telling you, you have to kill yourself today? It's societal rules. I will miss you, but I will do without you because this is the way of the land. This is the way we were brought up. This is the way we have accepted that we will die at 60 years of age. And she pressures him, and I just don't like it at all. I do not like it at all. However, I'm going to point something out. She says, he says, this is Luxana Choice. She's been a host and friend. Luxana says, I've been looking forward to meeting you, Dara. Timison says, whatever you have to say, you can say it to her. I see, Father. Come home. This is wrong. Dara, if I could show you the work I've begun, there's still so much for me to do. She says, there's nothing for you to do. It is irrelevant. His work is irrelevant. He's trying to save her planet, and it's irrelevant? Your father's work may save your world, my dear. I hardly consider that irrelevant. I'm concerned with you now as you is not your work. Your work is over. Your time is to rest. Perhaps you'll feel differently as you get a little older, say approaching 60. Devana says, my father taught me to cherish resolution. I don't know how you have poisoned him to reject him. Basana said, that's an obscene ritual. Ladara says, how dare you criticize my way of life, my beliefs. And she goes, where will you die? You will not be residing next to mother in the cemetery. I will not be put next to you in the cemetery. And she just goes off. And it's just not right. And I also have to point out that we have our new cast member here. That's Ensign Rowe. Michelle Forbes, I believe. That's Ensign Rowe. She becomes our new cast member, Bajoran. And we see her in Picard 3, too. But that's our new cast member. She comes back. Now Margelle Parrott is having a moment. Her life has been full. Now and then perhaps it's overflowed a little, but I enjoy living. And now I'm asking myself, is it possible I was wrong to encourage Thomason to choose life? And Troy says, like, no, you were honest. You had to be. She goes, maybe I want him to live just to keep me company. She says, of course you do. But you didn't do this for self. You did it for him, too. She goes, then look what I've done to him. He's a man who's lost his faith. I never considered how ingrained this resolution liturgy is. And they go on. And he's created turmoil. And he can't save his planet. They won't listen to him. Only if he's dead. They will only listen to him if he's dead. They will only accept his research if he's dead. Well, then they're all going to die anyway, aren't they? When their planet explodes or their sun dies in a couple of years. Then they'll all be dead. But this way, when he dies now, he'll be honored and remembered for all the work he did. Because he killed himself at 60. That is so wrong. That is so wrong. I hate the fact that this is promoting. If he'd stayed on the ship and there was a positive outcome that he chose life, it would have been better. He chose life. He chose to move forward. But no, this episode has him not only ending his life, but Luxana goes down there to honor him and be with him in his final moments. So she accepts his decision to end his life. There is so much wrong with that. So much wrong with that. If they're terminally ill, their cancer's eating up at them, they're in excruciating pain, there's no medical stuff, that's an issue. But when you're healthy and physically fit and you choose to end your life, that is so wrong. Seek help. Although in our society, you have to have money to get help. And sometimes we don't have money. So you just sit there and suffer, or sit on the park bench, or sit on the corner with your hat in your hand for people to put money in so you can purchase food because you're so depressed you can't deal with life. I've known personally people who've tried unsuccessfully to commit suicide several different ways. I've seen it. I've seen a person be so depressed and so I don't care about me, and I feel so guilty that I don't care about me, that I'm going to suffer. And they did not shower for a decade. They had fungus growing on their feet. They were 300 pounds. They would binge eat. They would beat themselves up. They would try to kill themselves annually. They were really, really depressed. And in microscopic steps, the person sought help. It was hard because there was no money, and to get free help, you had to go through the government. And every time she went to get help, it was a different doctor. So she had to try to commit suicide before society would help her. And that's horrible that it comes to that in this society, that you actually have to try. You kill yourself first before they'll actually help you. You can't go ask for help. Or you should try, though. I really suggest you try first. I really suggest you go and try and get help first. If you have money, then you should be okay. If you have health insurance, there should be somebody out there to talk to you about your choices. But this person that I know microscopically fought her way very, very slowly. Very, very microscopically, excruciatingly slowly. Got herself on meds, still working out those meds today. Has lost over 250 plus pounds. Fell in love, met her husband, and is totally hysterically happy. And she would not have this life today if she had been successful 10 years ago. And the fact that they let this choice stand on this show is really bad, is really absolutely horrible, that they let him choose death. They should have encouraged choose life. You should always choose life. And we won't get into that other aspect of the conversation. So that is the end of Half-Life. I hope I didn't go off too much on you. I hope I didn't have forgetful moments too much for you. As I started talking and the computer wasn't on, and I was like, ah, shit. So we've done the Drumhead. We've done Half-Life. Next week is the Host. And the week after, the Mind's Eye. And hopefully we will get more than 10 viewers for the next episodes. Most of my books don't even get 10 views. But I do them every day. I hope you'll check them out. We did J.D. Robb. We did Janet Ivanovich. We did Laurel K. Hamilton. We did Carolyn Sands. We did Carolyn Sparks, Lindsay Sands. We're doing Patterson now. We did Darcy Wilde. We did Andrea Penrose. Krista Davis last year. We did a whole bunch of cozies. So please hit the like and subscribe and let me know I'm doing a good job. Really appreciate it. Thank you.